My name is Hillary Fagan. I'm the Executive Vice President of Business Development for the Rhode Island Commerce Corporation, and I'm delighted to be with you today. Okay, thanks again for joining us. Today we're going to talk a little bit about doing business in Rhode Island. Rhode Island is a state in the Northeast US, sandwiched between New York City and Boston. It's in a very dense economic corridor. And as you can see, there's a lot of activity going on in economic output. We have the 8th highest density of college students in the nation. We have incredible infrastructure, 2 deep water ports, an international airport, and we're right on the rail and 95 corridor. So ease of doing business and access to your consumer is excellent for this location. This slide is designed to show you a comparison that you may be more familiar with. If you look at San Francisco and its relationship to San Jose, that's very much like Boston and its relationship to Providence, the capital city of Rhode Island, both in distance and population density. Rhode Island recently had a governor transition. Outgoing Governor Gina Raimondo has led our state for 6 years and was recently asked by President Biden to lead the Federal Commerce Division in Washington, D.C. When she is confirmed, Governor Dan McKee will take over as Rhode Island's governor. All this to say, there's a huge amount of support for economic development and business activity in the state. It's a great location for innovation, for talent recruitment, and for resources and incentives to help companies grow. This is a little bit about our innovation network. We have proximity to 11 universities, including Brown University, University of Rhode Island, the Rhode Island School of Design, and many others. Because of that, there's quite a good amount of innovation happening in the state. These are examples of some organizations that international companies can take advantage of if they decide to locate in Rhode Island. And I'll just talk about a couple. On the bottom left, you'll see CIC. That stands for Cambridge Innovation Center. That is a new build in downtown Providence that has 66,000 square feet of shared office space, plus District Hall, which operates out of CIC. That is an area for networking and connectivity and so forth. We have Mass Challenge, which is an incubator, Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Fund, and many others that you can see on the screen. So the important part of this slide is that there are assets and resources for companies coming over and growing in Rhode Island that we can help connect you to. And this is a visual of the upper left-hand side is the new build. Again, there's shared office space on a month-to-month basis. So it de-risks entrance for international companies coming into the US. The other images are examples of other real estate that we can offer. And at Commerce, we can help you with site location and finding a space that suits your business needs. You may wonder what companies are operating in the state. Well, there are actually quite a few for our small size. Some of these images you may recognize. CVS Health is headquartered in Rhode Island. There's very large operations of Citizens Bank, Bank America, IGT and Raytheon as well, and some life science companies that are growing, including Rubius Therapeutics and Amgen. So I think that companies find the connectivity to larger corporations in the state is quite strong. On the left-hand side, you'll see examples of smaller companies that have received major venture backing. So it's also a good place to land for companies that need capital. On the state side, we're trying to do everything possible in order to make the state a great place to operate on a financial standing. So we have not raised a major corporate tax rate since 1991. We actually have the lowest corporate tax rate in our region at 7%. And interestingly, very recently, we abolished the sales tax on energy use for companies. There are some great companies operating in the state, including Toray Plastics, that you'll hear more about. They have a large operation and a modern facility at one of our business parks that is also a port called Quonset Business Park, and we're very proud to have them operating and thriving in the state of Rhode Island. Another company example is INFOSYS, a very large Indian-based IT and tech company. They did a national search in the US for where they should land and expand and chose Providence, Rhode Island as a major design hub. They're slated to grow over 500 new full-time employees in the state, and they've had great partnerships that we've helped introduce them to with our Community College of Rhode Island and also the Rhode Island School for Design and Innovation. This example shows that even blue chip companies are operating in the state. ERNST & Young, a name we probably all familiar with, it's been a fixture in Rhode Island for probably more than 100 years. The interesting thing about this mid-size operation in the state is that their acceptance rate for offers out for talent is over 95%, meaning they're not having trouble finding young talent who want to operate out of their Providence location. And the last example is eMoney. eMoney is a fintech company that was looking for a second location to expand into. They chose Rhode Island and used some of our credits and incentive programs to land and expand. They had a target of reaching 100 new employees and are way ahead of schedule and actually over that number. So we're excited to have them operating in the state as well. Which comes to talent. I think when companies think about growing, the most important thing for them is who am I going to hire and how am I going to find them? So I want to walk through some pretty dense slides around the talent and the talent pipeline that we have in the state. I mentioned earlier, there are many colleges and universities within the state, but also within a 60-minute commute of Providence, you can find 74 colleges and universities. There is a lot of well-educated talent in this region. A couple of quick statistics as well. Brown has a great computer science program, top ranking, and our community college is named the top two-year college in the US. The last bullet talks to a program called Skills for Rhode Island. Skills is a state-run program, so it's complimentary, free of charge for any companies that want to partner with Skills. What they will do is take your, work with you on your job posting. They'll market it for free. They will provide folks that go out and find people who meet the criteria of the candidate that you're looking for. They will screen them and they will also train them. So it's a great partnership, and we've been able to help companies significantly grow their talent base with that entity. The other interesting statistic we look at is millennial inflows. And you'll notice in the Northeast, we're the only metro area seeing more millennials moving in than out. And that's a good indication of more to come. Providence and Rhode Island in particular offers an incredible location at a lower cost of living. And I think young people are drawn to that. And we at the Commerce Corporation can do a lot of analysis around talent for you. So for example, we looked at tech talent for this presentation, but we could look at any occupational code that you're interested in and come up with the number of employed people within that occupation. We can also look at the location quotients and also the cost of salaries. And I'll show you that more in the next couple of slides. We can do a comparative analysis of cost of talent in Rhode Island or Providence versus other major cities in the Northeast. In this example, you'll see talent cost versus Boston, New York, and Washington, D.C. Again, we can take any required areas and do the comparison. We also like to look at what we call fill time. So if you, an employer, post a job position and you want to find candidates, we can fill that for you more quickly in the Providence area versus, in this example, we looked at Boston. But we can also do that for any other city. And that's actually really important when you think about staffing your operation in the States. And the last section that I want to talk about is development tools. Many states offer programs to help companies grow. This is a grid of some of the programs that we offer, and we can get more into detail on a one-on-one conversation after the presentation, if you desire to. But we also can talk about some of the programs that I think have worked most beneficially for companies that are coming into the state. And that includes the Qualified Jobs and Rebuild Rhode Island tax credit programs, as well as some of the others. Qualified job works in a competitive situation. So if a company is looking to expand into the state and they're comparing the state and looking at other locations, we can do an analysis based on the number of new employees that the company intends to hire in the state. And loosely, we take the personal state income tax that's generated by each new job and redeem back to the company 75% of the personal state income taxes generated by that individual. We can do that each year for up to 10 years. There are other rules and regulations that we can get into in more detail, but it is a very powerful tool and has helped a lot of companies significantly hire in the state. The Rebuild Rhode Island Tax Credit Program is a program that's designed if you have a build project. So if you're looking for a physical space that's over 25,000 square feet, this tool can be utilized if there's a gap in the financing and additional funds are required. And again, there's more specifics to that, but it has been used many, many times to catalyze a project. We could do it for a manufacturing facility or a large office space that needs fit out, or lab space. And here's an example. This is a story of a company that was acquired. The company was a startup called Shape Up that was spun out of Brown University. The company was acquired by Virgin Pulse, at the time one of Richard Branson's health tech companies. Virgin Pulse had headquarters in Massachusetts. When they did the acquisition, they started looking around in Rhode Island and we worked with them. And they came to the realization that it was a great place to move their headquarters to and grow in Rhode Island. So we use both the Qualified Jobs Tax Credit Program and the Rebuild Tax Credit Program to help them choose Rhode Island, expand their footprint here, and hire up. And they're doing incredibly well. And the program supported those efforts. Another program we can utilize is called the WAVEMAKER Fellowship. And this is, again, an application program for the individual. And this will help companies hire in science, technology, engineering, or math fields, as well as design. And what we can do is the individual, if they have student debt, which is a big problem in our country and not so much probably in yours, but if they have student debt, they can apply into this fellowship and the state will help pay down their student debt if they are accepted into the fellowship. It's also a networking opportunity, so these individuals can make connections and understand more about their industries. And it's a very popular and very unique program to the state, and we're quite proud of that. And Supply RI, for any Rhode Island-based company that wants to get visibility and access local procurements, this is a great tool. It's a database that has large anchor institutions signed up. And these anchor institutions are looking to procure services on a local basis. So our staff can help work with you, a Rhode Island-based company, on understanding what is your scope of work and what is your capacity. We can then market that within the database to larger companies that are looking for services that may fit with what you offer. And again, the goal is to try to help local companies expand their sales and offerings. And lastly, what's it like to live in Rhode Island? We put together a couple of slides to talk about the beauty of the state. We are on the Atlantic coast, as you saw in the first slide. There are 400 miles of coastline. Everyone in the state lives within minutes of the beach, basically. It's an area rich in history. It has a university feel with our 11 institutions of higher ed and access to major cities and major markets. We are a foodie town, as people like to say. We have Johnson & Wales, an incredible university with a great culinary institute. We have great world-renowned tourist sites like Newport and the Newport Folk Festival and events and opportunities for good quality of life. And we have had quite a good run of development with the innovation development we saw in the beginning. We have access to recruit, retain, and train people in new facilities. And we have all these programs to help build out and sort of make your project work in our state. So I hope that was a good example of some of the things that are happening in Rhode Island. I think the Rhode Island Commerce Corporation is really here to support your move and to help you do this in the most fiscally responsible and strategic way. So I would really encourage you to reach out to the Rhode Island Commerce Corporation. My information is detailed on the slide, and we hope to have many conversations with you. Thank you so much.